Hi, my name's James Birchall. This is another episode of the Smartcar Coffee Confidential, and my guest today is Carm Bozzo. She's the manager and of development and communication at Halton Women's Place.
That's right.
Carm, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Now, we didn't go through the drive-through. Actually, I met Carm in the coffee shop, so we've got our coffees already. Mm-hmm. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go for a roll, go for a drive, and Carm's going to tell me all about her, I guess her job, things she does, tell me a bit about her family, the things that float her boat, the stuff that drives her. And of course, as we've gotten used to learning about our guests, we're going to learn a bit more about the things you like to do for fun.
Good.
Yes.
I hope I'm fun.
Yeah, well, there's always post-production, right?
That's right, yeah.
Halton Women's Place. Tell me about that. What is it?
Well, we're the only shelter in Halton, in Burlington and Milton. We have 2 shelters. So we are the only place where women who are fleeing abuse need to go to stay safe. We do run 2 residential shelters, but also a great transitional support program where women who maybe don't need to come into the shelter to live can still access our services, or for women who have stayed with us and now are moving on, but still need that support, the resources, the counseling. We're it for women who are in unsafe and unhealthy relationships and with their kids.
How long can they stay?
Well, that's a good question. I've been with Halton Women's Place for 15 years. So 15 years ago, I would have told you that it would have been about a 6 to 8 week stay. Mm-hmm. We're supposed to be a short-term crisis shelter. But over the last few years, we've seen that time frame really increase to about 6-8 months.
Wow.
Some up to a year. Depending on their situation, but also really it has to do with transitional housing. So there's no second stage housing in Halton, and there's really not a lot around anywhere. So that's been an issue for a lot of shelters. Is where do women go?
What's second stage housing? So
second stage housing would be a place where women would go to transition from shelter life. Yeah. Before they get their own home, right? So,
okay.
As you know, living in Halton, but anywhere really, housing is very expensive.
Yeah.
So it's really hard for some of our clients to transition to housing, and in subsidized housing as well. There's long wait lists, so
makes sense.
So second stage housing would help them kind of transition right back into the community. Yeah.
All right, well, let's lighten the mood a smidge.
Yeah.
Now, you've been there for 15 years.
I have.
So I'm assuming you didn't kind of get hired as the manager.
No.
Communicate. Where did you start?
So I started off managing just the events and our volunteer program. So I have a journalism degree from Ryerson, and then realized...
too many rules?
Too many,
That's why I do this.
Yeah. Well, the professors would always say, you might start in Yellowknife or something, and I thought, well, I'm not going that far. So, just my interest changed as well. I took a public relations course and decided I wanted to do something more like that, and got into Halton Women's Place about 3 weeks before I got married. So I always remember my anniversary because
that's helpful.
Yeah, 15 years for both, and started doing the gala and golf tournament and all of that, and managing all the volunteers. And a few years after that, I would say about 4 years after that, I was on maternity leave with my second son, and this position came up. I was offered it on maternity leave, and so I would bring Jacob with me to some meetings as a baby in a car seat, and there I go.
That's funny. I mentioned, before we started filming, that my son's called Jake.
Yes.
He's actually Jake. He's not Jacob.
Yep.
So, and the journalism thing, I have no idea what the background is. That's what you trained in, because that's what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
But like I told you before, I had too many rules.
There are a lot of rules, lots of politics with everything, of course. But,
yeah, I know. You have to play nice. So you have 2 sons.
I have 2 boys, yes.
And how old are they right now?
So Julian is 13.
Oh, you went with the 2 J's?
Yes, and my husband's name is John.
John, Julian, and Jacob.
I don't know what I was thinking, to be honest, because all these J's keep coming out of my mouth as I'm trying to tell a story or whatnot. James, see, there you go. Yeah, Julian's 13.
Yes.
Going on 30.
Yeah, well, that's the case always.
And Jacob is 11.
Wow.
Yes.
So you've got at least another decade of mommyisms.
I know.
Yeah. You know what? It's okay.
Yeah. You know what, though? I'm enjoying this because I know really quickly, one will be off to college or university.
It'll be a lot faster than you can blink.
Yeah. So I'm trying to keep them as tight as possible. But at this age, they also need to fly.
Right. Well, speaking of family fun stuff, what do you like to do for fun?
So we talked about the fact that you just relatively started working out, right?
Yes.
Going to the gym.
Yeah.
So on top of working at Halton Women's Place, I also teach boot camp.
Oh.
So I do love fitness. And I teach boot camp every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday very early in the morning.
Oh, I do Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at
there you go.
Fit for Less.
Yeah. So I teach and I go to the gym every day. Every day.
Don't you get the recovery period? My muscles are killing me right now. I'm ripping into them, so it's like I need a day off.
Typically, a Saturday or Sunday I'll take off.
Oh, wow.
But I know. I'm a little bit obsessive with it.
Well, I can understand. I can understand the attraction of it because after I really started to put it into practice, it's addictive.
It is.
There are literally drugs involved. I mean, you get the dopamine and all the other fun stuff.
Yeah. But I do talk about exercise being more than for your body. I find I'm in a better mood when I exercise. You can ask my husband. I'm definitely happier when I'm exercising.
Dopamine.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's so good. I get so many good ideas when I'm exercising. Like if I'm running, which I hate to do, but I do it.
Did so.
I tend to think about a lot of things for work that I'm like, oh, we should do this or we could do this.
Okay, so that's the kind of stuff you do for fun.
Well, I do that, and I'm a hockey mom and a football mom. So I'm a big...
Are you one of these really aggressive ones?
Yes.
That sits on the lines and screams at everybody?
No, I just scream good things.
Oh, okay.
But I am loud.
Now, why would I not have guessed that?
I know. I did stand up yesterday in the stands, I have to say. But, it was a bad hit. I don't like hits. There's not supposed to be contact.
Oh, right.
So, I never yell bad things. And I know that they're all kids and they're all volunteers. But I do, I scream for my kids to skate. And they say that they don't hear me, but I know that they do.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Your work, let's spin back to that for a sec. Is it normal kind of 9 to 5 kind of work?
It typically is, and then we'll have certain events or presentations that I'll have to do in the community that are in evening. I don't do as much weekend work anymore unless it's an event.
Yes.
I now have a team. It used to be just myself and one other. Now I've kind of grown my team to 4 people, which is awesome, especially when you're trying to raise over $1 million.
Is that what you're trying to raise each time?
Yes, yeah, about $1.5 million.
Wow.
Is the goal. So. You need a team to do that. It's definitely not one person. So we do need to be out there in the community a lot. I mean, there's a lot of women that don't have a voice in telling their story. So I feel like, not just myself, but my team, when we go speak in the community, it is, providing that voice for those women and for those kids that don't have a voice right now because they're in shelter and they're in their own crisis, and this is not a time for them to tell their story. And I'm really, we're very, we recognize that a lot, is that this is not their time perhaps to tell their story, but that we're here to tell it for them, and the reasons why it's important for the community to be involved and in different ways for the community to be involved. And I think it's a lot about education nowadays as well. I mean, we have a wonderful public education program actually that started in 2011 with a part-time teacher, and now we've got 4 Ontario licensed teachers in the school. They work for Halton Women's Place, but they're in our schools and they're talking to kids from grades 1 to 12 about healthy relationships, dating violence and the law, media and gender stereotypes, consent, all that stuff that, we need the kids to learn as they're growing up, because we know that, some of these kids are growing up in unhealthy homes, to recognize that they don't have to follow suit, because a lot of it is the cycle of violence just continues, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it is talking about healthy relationships, and the education piece is huge. We're not going to end violence against women with people our age, but we will, do that with our kids. And so it's educating those kids to stop the cycle and stand up for their friends and stand up to their friends as well. So it's really, really important that everyone feels safe.
We should also qualify. I mean, we're using the words abuse and violence. Yeah. And most people just naturally assume physicality. Yes. I can say with unfortunate presence of mind, a broken bone hurts and will heal, but a psychological assault,
stays.
That can stay with you forever.
Yeah. And that's another great point, because we're talking about that this morning as well, is that if people think they don't see bruises or cuts or whatnot, that they're not being abused. And women themselves are thinking, because they're not getting hit, it's not abuse. But psychological and emotional abuse is horrible.
It's the smarter abuse, if you want to be creepy about it.
You can hide it, right?
Exactly.
It's so easy to hide.
It's prove otherwise. Well, that's what they did. And I mean, that's how I feel. Oh, here we go. We're now into this, stuff of feelings. It's brutal. And
the other piece too is financial abuse. Women who are in very much controlled financially.
Yep.
Sexual abuse also in marriages, where people think, well, this is supposed to happen. It's not a sexual assault because we're married. No. So much education still needs to happen, not just with our kids, but even with adults.
I recently read somewhere, and I remember reading it going, you are kidding me, right? This needed to be said. Mm-hmm. So I read somewhere that if she's unconscious, she can't give consent. And I'm like,
I know.
Who honestly thought that I was consensual?
I know. It's
like, no.
Yeah. It is crazy to think that there are so many people that don't, it's not common sense to them. Absolutely. And that's what we want. We want it to be socially unacceptable. So almost like, drinking and driving, we talk about, now it's like, what? The environment, with your children, we talk about this a lot. We talk about the fact that we can't come home as adults with plastic bottles, because our kids who are learning it so much in school are like, why do you have a plastic bottle? It's socially unacceptable to that age group and to that generation, right?
Plastic straws now.
We want this, women abuse to be socially unacceptable. So
now, if people wanted to learn more about what you do, or help, or get involved, or what's the best way for them to do that?
So we have a great social media platform. So on Facebook, we're at Halt Women's Place, Instagram, Twitter, but also they can check out our website at haltwomensplace.com.
So that's Halton.
Yes.
HaltonWomensPlace.com.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're on the back leg of our journey. And I'm about to sort of return you from whence I picked you up. Yeah. So is there anything else you'd like to leave with our viewer?
I think that, we all have an obligation. We really want to engage more men in being part of the solution, and we're trying to put something together for men to be a part of the solution. Because we know that other men will listen to, men listen to men, it's just like in our schools. Young men and
sometimes we just don't listen to anybody.
That's true.
What?
But you know what? We're so fortunate to be in Halton. To be honest, it's such a generous community.
It is.
And the issue is becoming a little bit more well known, where people want to speak about it, they want to talk about it, and they want to help, and they want to know how to help. And so, we're very fortunate in that regard, and we just want to continue that. We want to be able to continue to be the voice for these women and have the community support us with that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, my name's James Birchall. This has been a Smartcar Coffee Confidential with Carm Bozzo of Halton Women's Place. Carm?
You said it right the whole time.
I know,